Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Vitamin C's, proudly brought to you by CLNS Media. As usual, I'm your guy, Adam Taylor, and as usual, I'm joined by my homie, my compadre, my co-host in crime, Mr. Tim Sheils. What's poppin', Tim?
Nothing much. Just catching up on all the latest Celtics news, and I don't know about you, but I found this one interesting. Will Barton.
I like Will Barton. So just so everyone knows, we're going to be doing a lot of these quick hitters over the next, period. We're going to do full episodes, but we also like these quick hitters as well. Will Barton's going to be one of our quick hitters. So the whole rumor came around, or, the news, however you want to put it, that Will Barton has mutual interest with the Celtics in potentially joining the team via the buyout market if the Wizards don't trade him and if the Wizards decide to buy him out of his current contract. This came from a source that spoke with Celticsblog's Keith Smith. Obviously, sources remain anonymous. I'm quite happy with the idea of Will Barton. I put this on Twitter earlier today, actually, that I'm more inclined to look for wing depth than big man depth. And Will Barton, as a veteran, as a guy that's going to come in and know his role, understand that some games he's going to play more than others. And, veterans are always more consistent than younger guys anyway. I like this pickup. How do you feel?
I think it makes a lot of sense. And in terms of experience, too, he's been around the league for a good amount of time. 32, he'll be 33 next season. He only has that final year on the contract. It's about just under 14.4 million. So it'd be interesting to see what the buyout on that would look like. But the fact is he's really taken a dip in terms of playing time with Washington. I don't know how much of that is you're a veteran. We're looking at potentially buying you out. We don't want you on the floor that much, or we're a team that's fully rebuilding right now. Like, we are a team that is focused on trying to develop our younger guys. So it makes a lot of sense in terms of trying to acquire a guy like that. He kind of reminds me of Terrence Ross in that way, of like on a team that is clearly on, that rebuilding path, but he's a veteran player who is serviceable, but just because of that contract, it makes it really tricky. So the fact is, mutual interest tells me that there are conversations and back channels going on there. So I'm hoping that does mean a good indication that they are going to buy him out and that he will join the Celtics. But makes a ton of sense, right? Gives you more guard depth, gives you wing depth. He's the definition of a guy who can come in and eat up regular season minutes. And that's sort of what you need right now, especially with Jalen and Jason. You want to try and manage their workloads as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, he's not exactly the most experienced playoff-wise. I think he played 29 games in the playoffs throughout his career. So it's not like he's coming in with heaps of playoff experience, but as you say, he does have a bunch of regular season experience. He can eat up those minutes. We're seeing Tatum and Brown, and I joked about this on a podcast I did yesterday with Keith Smith, actually, where I was like, yo, we need to start calling Mazzulla Joe Tibbs Mazzulla because his minute management is getting out of control. Or his lack of minute management.
Ime had the same issue, right?
Yeah, and look how gassed the team was once I spoke like I was on the team then. Once they made the conference finals or once they made the finals, they were running out of gas. They were carrying some injuries. Having a guy like Barton will help that. The other reason I like this idea is because you don't have to give up any assets. The Celtics already have that the Celtics already have that open roster spot from when they waived Noah Vonleh. So it's not like they need to release anybody or try and make a trade to free up space. There's an available roster spot open. They have the disabled player exception from Danilo Gallinari, so they can pretty much offer more than what most teams are going to be able to, if not all teams are going to be able to once the buyout market opens. It's just a win-win. You don't lose assets. You pay the guy a little bit more than what he'd get elsewhere just to entice him. You're also offering a chance to genuinely contend for a championship. You've got one, best team in the NBA right now, record-wise. I think that this would be a good pickup. I don't think it's the type of move that's going to move the needle to the point where it's like, Kevin Durant joining the Warriors type of needle mover. Like, it's just not going to be that type of deal. But I think that where the Celtics are now, the lack of depth they have at that wing spot, specifically the free, somebody that could slide down a little bit or allow Tatum and Brown to slide up, depending if you want to play with more size. That makes perfect sense. And when you talk about allowing Tatum to slide up, allowing Brown to slide up, you start to get into that realm of we probably don't need an additional big because we've got a 6'10" Jason Tatum that could be played at the 5 if we were in a serious pickle injury-wise with Horford, with Williams. Maybe you still want to keep Cornette on the bench, or you don't have faith in Griffin during the postseason. There's options available that don't mean you have to go and get a big. And it, like you said, it spells extra minutes for Tatum and Brown during the regular season. I'm a big fan of this idea.
I think the big thing that you said was options, right? Like they need to have more options at that wing spot, because right now, as much as I love him, he's struggling. Sam Hauser, you can't really lean on him for these minutes right now. He's been so up and down. And after that like insane start from him in November, he's just completely come crashing back to earth. So now you kind of need some more 3-point shooting, especially. You need someone that you can at least give some minutes to, that you don't have to worry about, being a net negative on the floor. Because as good as Sam Hauser was from the field and how much he looked improved on defense, he still wasn't a guy that I would lean on significant minutes for, especially because the big thing he's supposed to be out there to provide is 3-point shooting. I'm not sitting here and saying that, this is like the perfect player in Will Barton, but in my eyes, I don't think this is a stretch to say that it's an upgrade on what you're getting right now from Sam Hauser. And that's really all it is. It's just an upgrade on the fringes of the roster.
Yeah, and I mean, look, there's two ways I've looked at this. The first one was, if Gallinari's healthy, Hauser doesn't play. He's an end of the bench guy that's just developing in the background. How Gallinari gets injured, you need some size with shooting. I think Hauser's like 6'7", 6'8". He's got some good size. He's going to be able, he can shoot the ball, comes in as an unknown commodity, gets left open a bunch, knocks down shots. Teams adjust. Oh, this guy's lighting everybody up. Don't let him shoot the free. Run him off the 3-point line. Of course, you're going to struggle. All of a sudden, you've gone from being wide open on every shot to closely contested. And I just think that quick change in defensive coverage, and plus his lack of experience, and maybe he just needs to learn how to create space off the catch a little bit more. Maybe you catch on the way, like while you're already sidestepping, so you're creating that space when you receive the pass. Those little nuances will come, and I think that he will be a valuable bench shooter. I just think that we've seen the best that he's going to offer this year. And if Will Barton allows you to have options where you don't rely on him, and then obviously you do that. And if you want to look at the potential of Danilo Gallinari returning this season, which I personally don't think would move the needle. I think that even if he does return, he's too far removed from the system and like how the Celtics play, fitness-wise, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, I'd much rather wait till next season for him. But even if he did return, I think Barton is still an impactful rotation member on the fringes. I like it. Does it cause an issue for Hauser? Probably a little bit. But, at the end of the day, Hauser's got another 2 years left on his deal. There's time for him to improve. The 2 years after this year, there's time for him to improve. And right now, the Celtics need to be a little bit selfish and do everything they can to put themselves in the best possible position. Because if you're in the playoffs and God forbid someone gets hurt, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable having Will Barton slide into a bigger role than you are Sam Hauser or a Danilo Gallinari with 3 games under his belt in the last 12 months.
Yeah, and that's what it waters down to. This is just a matter of protecting your chances in case there is any kind of injury or you need to, shuffle things around if there's foul trouble or something like that. And I think Sam Hauser will eventually figure it out too. But if he's just a specialist and he's a 3-point shooter and, you pick and choose those moments to give him more minutes, then that's fine. I'm hoping that he does get back to it. And I think he's capable. It's just right now you can't really take that gamble and hope that he's going to be able to recapture that same kind of mojo in time to make a serious impact in the playoffs. Yeah. And that's a given, I think.
Yeah, and I'm cool with that. I mean, look, I've said everything I need to say. I just think that another scorer with some size that can defend a little bit, that can play multiple positions with veteran know-how coming, like other than this season where he's been on a pretty bad team, spent a lot of time with the Nuggets, was a big part of their rotation when they were coming up. And, they've been contending for a few years now, barring injuries to Murray and Porter Jr. and so forth. So it's not like he's coming into this with no experience of being that 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th guy, playing with minimal touches and still being impactful. He already knows how to operate on that type of role, and he's done it very successfully. And that makes him, for me, an ideal fit. Yeah?
Agreed. I think we should. I have
With
nothing
that,
else to
everybody,
add.
have a great day. It's Friday. We should have a full episode for you later today, barring any hiccups. We had a hiccup yesterday where Tim was uploading at the same time as we were recording, and things just went all sorts of bad. But we learned, this is a learning curve. We're still new to the whole video side of things. Audio, a bit different. We know what we're doing there, or we like to think so. Maybe not.
We hope.
We hope. Until later today, everybody have a good one. Peace.
Cheers.